Is taxation theft? Let's take a look at the argument. Premise 1. Theft is taking property without the consent of the owner. Premise 2. Taxation is the compulsory process of taking property without the consent of the owner. Conclusion: taxation is theft. Now, if you think that argument's flawed, it's probably for one of several reasons. The first objection that many people have, well, it's not theft because we agree to it by living here. It's called the social contract. If you don't consent, you can just leave and go live somewhere else. It is not taken without the consent of the owner. You consent by choosing to live here. Every facet of this objection fails. First of all, the social contract literally does not exist. You can't show it to me. You can't hold up a document with my signature on it. It does not exist. It's made up. It is an excuse that people are taught to justify involuntary, non-consensual government power. No one ever asked anyone if they consented to these rules, not even at the time of the signing of the Constitution. Only 10% of the people living here at the time the Constitution was ratified could have even voted to agree to it. And even that doesn't matter because all of those people are long dead. No one alive today has been or will be asked for their consent. And finally, it's important to point out the saying from the Founding Fathers: a government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. They acknowledged this. They used it as a justification for their attempt to create a new government at the time and to reject an old government that they were subject to. What this means is very clear and telling. If the state precedes my individual consent, that means if it comes before the matter of whether or not I consent, then it's just a mere tyrant with no rightful claim to anything, and I can stay right here, thanks. If the state proceeds my consent, which means depends on it, then I can also stay right here, and when I tell it to go away and leave me alone, it will. It will have to. Another objection that people will say is that, well, it's not theft because it's legal. So, theft only exists when there are laws saying as much? Outside of a government jurisdiction, if somebody takes your stuff absent your consent, you're fine with that? That you wouldn't consider that theft? You need a government to call something bad for it to be bad? Was slavery not slavery back when owning people was legal? Please. Finally, the best objection is that it's not theft because the government uses the money to provide public goods, services, and regulatory enforcement for the people. First of all, this objection changes nothing in the premises of the argument I presented. What they do with the money after they steal it doesn't make it not theft when they took it. So that means the conclusion of the argument is unchanged as well. It's an identical argument to saying that the mafia claiming control over an area isn't robbing people when they demand protection money. It's literally an analog. The government has to be able to take money, and it's not theft when they do because they use it to pay the police that protect you. It's literally the same thing. It is a mafia. Finally, and more obviously, if a thief holds you up in a dark alley, takes your wallet, uses the money later to buy an orphan a Christmas present, does that make it not theft? Of course not. If you like this video, share it. If you still disagree and think you have another objection, join our Discord and let us know. I'm happy to talk with you anytime.